when I reflect back on my life, it's probably not so different than a lot of people. I grew up in a large family, 8 kids. My father was a factory worker, worked very, very hard, and while he didn't communicate a lot with us, he taught a lot by example, and his work ethic was one of those things. So we didn't have much. We used to look forward on Friday nights to our RC Cola and glazed donut. And that was the excitement time of the week. But I think not having much kind of instilled in me the desire to take charge, not let the factory or the boss tell me what to do. And it made me motivated. Mom was very, very patient, so I've learned to be very patient with people, which actually allows me in business to kind of give people a little bit of room, not be demanding, help them as opposed to just direct them. I learned how to work hard. I learned how to focus, to get the task at hand done, not to give up. I learned honesty and integrity from Dad. He wouldn't tell a lie if it cost him $1 million. And that's very, very important, and that became part of my mentality. Not having much materially, I learned that the material things weren't so crucial, but the memories and the experiences that I could create for my family, create for other people, like in Nussentials, creating memories is everything to me. So that's very important. When I came out of high school, I spent a little time, figuring things out, but enlisted in the Army. Thought I wanted to be a police officer in my life, in my career, so I went in as a military policeman. And so, what do you know? I did get sent to Vietnam. Those few years kind of tied well together with what I got from Mom and Dad. Mom's patience taught me to listen more than talk. I could learn more that way. And Dad's work ethic, Dad's respect for others, and his honesty. And so the military really just continued that. And I think a lot of people, especially young men, kind of learn some structure in their life. They learn some self-discipline. And if you're going to build a business, you got to have some self-discipline. You got to discipline yourself to say no sometimes, and you got to make yourself do the things that other people won't. So later you can do the things other people can't, and so all of that I think kind of helped come out of that experience. And I also learned to fight for things that I believed in. I've only had a couple of jobs in my life. One was landscaping, where I raked yards in new construction homes. Another, and I did that during a summer one time, and then I sold. I actually had 3 jobs because I worked at a truck stop, filling up diesel fuel into trucks and fixing their big flat tires. And when I got into the jewelry industry, I knew that I needed to be in control of that stuff myself. So therefore, I ended up having my own fine jewelry manufactured and selling it to stores, which was a lot of fun. Coming up in a family without much, where you wore the same 2 pair of pants all week long, things like fine jewelry was exciting. It was glamorous, and those were the days when everybody was going to Acapulco for vacations and beginning to take cruises and things. Those were things I wanted to do. So in the jewelry business, it fit right in. So then all I had to do was figure out how to have it made, and how to sell it, and how to collect for it and get paid for it, and then try to leverage my time just a little bit. There was a lot of challenges in the jewelry business. That was a very controlled, Israeli-controlled, De Beers-controlled industry with diamonds. And so I certainly had a guy that I worked with in the jewelry industry, or kind of observed in the jewelry industry, and I realized how tough he was. And he was tough in terms of taking care of his business. He was tough in terms of making sure that things were done right, that quality was prepared. And of course that impacts me today in the way I look at our quality health products, making sure that it's the right products and not just something to make a buck on. This is the funniest story, because in the jewelry business, I obviously knew a lot of people, and I had a guy call me one time, and he said, "Hey, I found another way, so we don't have to depend just on what we do ourselves in business, but we can leverage our time." And I didn't really understand leverage. I mean, I had some people working for me at the time, but he said, without limits, you can harness the efforts of a lot of people and get paid a little bit on what they do without any limits. I said, I like the sound of that, so tell me more. Well, as he explained to me what it was, I spent over the phone $5,000 for a product that I'd never seen, didn't know if it worked, but I was so infatuated with the concept of leverage in multi-level marketing, I was not going to miss it. So I jumped right in both feet. and got after it. And I didn't even know that people were going to resist and call it, funny names and pyramids and things like that. I didn't know that was going to happen. Very successful for me, but I learned a valuable lesson there. Your own success can come while helping or because of helping a lot of other people succeed, or your own success can come because you, in some cases people intentionally, but in my case unintentionally, hurt others or took advantage of them. So selling people product they don't need or too much product because you hope they're going to sell it all was wrong. And I learned that now. So I had a 6-month stint and I did very, very well. I ran high up the ladder fast, but it occurred to me very quickly that other people were not doing so well, and that wasn't what I wanted to be a part of. I still had my wholesale jewelry business. I was doing both. A lot of people keep their job in Nussentials, and some people love their job, never want to leave it, but they do Nussentials part-time. Some people evolve from their job to Nussentials full-time, and the same thing happened with me. So I stayed in the jewelry business, found another company, which I did very, very well with, in multi-level, selling telecom services, still in the jewelry business, but eventually could no longer afford financially to give the jewelry business any more time. So I had to evolve full-time. When you start hitting some goals and you're enjoying life, you tend to forget about the tougher times. Now you reflect back on them. They never leave you because you draw on them sometimes. But you focus on the good stuff and the goals that you achieved, and that makes the heartaches and the challenges and the obstacles you came through pale by comparison. I learned a lot there. I learned that, like in any endeavor, if I was going to be successful, it was going to be up to me. And while I didn't have a mentor or my sponsor wasn't very active, Upline didn't reach out to help me, I figured out that people needed that. So I was going to change that. I was going to change the flow, and while I didn't have it, I was going to provide it. So I became a good sponsor, and I worked hard. I didn't know the right ways to do things. I made a lot of mistakes, but I figured it out. I kept my nose to the grindstone, and there's no substitute for hard work, but you got to learn from your mistakes too, and I did that. Unfortunately, my experience, a lot of people go through, and that is because they put all their faith in a company and they don't really know the folks at the top. As soon as things change in management or ownership, which I experienced, owners sold to new owners, sold to new owners, sold to new owners, and the connection between the field, myself at the time, and the ownership didn't exist anymore. The dependency, the trust factor wasn't there, and people start making decisions, and owners make decisions for their own benefit. And so they did, and they ended up actually shutting the company down, or actually not shutting it down, but putting it into bankruptcy, getting rid of all the reps. I found myself with a 6-figure monthly income, poof, gone. Obviously, when you experience that, you get your heart broke. For me, it was worse because that was when I was observing other companies in the business world, and a lot of owners and executives and folks doing things, making decisions for themselves at the expense of their representatives, to the pain of their employees. And that broke my heart. And I thought, I don't want to play anymore. If that's the way, fortunately, I didn't burn all my money. If that's the way the business world's going to function, I don't want to play. I don't want to play. So we ran off to the mountains. We found a little place up there that we reopened, a small hotel, a bed and breakfast, and Lucy and I ran it and enjoyed hosting and serving guests for the next 3-year period. It was a great time. I loved my life up there. I loved it because I walked to the post office, I walked to the bank, I walked to eat. The mountains are just magnificent. The air is clean. It was slow pace. Nobody was in a hurry. It was a very special life. But about that time, a couple of guys found me, and they knew somebody who knew somebody that knew my experience, my background. And they just really wanted me to consult with them in the company. And what I saw I liked was the 3 initial products. And I could tell from research that they were going to be fabulous. And we actually ended up, after talking and looking at the products, and we figured out it was a good move. It was the right time for me personally. So we just turned things around a little bit, took ownership, and kind of reshaped the company and relaunched it. I came out here to create a giant where people could find a home for the rest of their life, where they could create the legacy that I wanted to create before. The best way now is for me to help many create that legacy and make sure that we stay solid. So we run a tight ship. This company's going to be here for many, many years, long after I'm gone. And I want the individual reps to build incomes that their kids and children can enjoy. In my experience in multi-level, and I think in most companies, it's all about money. People get, because there is so much money to be made. It's very lucrative. So I think a lot of people get ins for the cars and the houses and the trips and to have more money. And it's all about money, money, money. And I think that fuels the materialism that hurts the world in whole, in mass. And what it does is it suppresses the good heart and the goodwill that people have internally. The world needs something to believe in. They need someone to follow. There's no quality role models and heroes today, and the politicians are disappointing. The government isn't doing what they're supposed to do. The athletes, even religious figures don't toe the line properly, and so that's very important. That creates a very intense, deeply embedded mission to make a difference in the world, and that's really what we're after here. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a huge income. You can do a lot more good with money than you can without. And the bigger the business we grow, the more good we can do. But I want to let that goodwill out. I want the hearts to come out. I want people to be the good character and the quality of person that they were created to be. The world needs what we are doing in Nussentials, where doing the right thing and serving others is paramount. Feeding the kids, which is part of our principles and part of my main focus, all of that helps make Nussentials very unique. I do want to become the largest multi-level marketing company in the world. I want to be recognized as the most socially conscious MLM in the world. And I want to have the most millionaires created in our company in any as compared to any MLM. And I want to feed so many kids. One of my intermediate goals is to reach the point where we're giving $1 million every single month to accomplish that. And so I want to get way up there into the hundreds of millions of dollars that we're donating to make a difference as we grow our own business and benefit from it. I don't ever want to be a huge catalog that's 4 inches thick, but I do want people to be able to buy from themselves through Nussentials things that they buy anyway. We will expand. I foresee us, I plan to take us into other countries and to also assist and have some charitable dimensions in those countries. And then we'll expand our product line too. There's going to be a lot of digital products that we'll be excited about, things that don't force you to buy something, have it shipped to you. It's done over the web. And so Nussentials is a home for people. And it's going to become more and more of a magnet, attracting people that are just being drawn to us. We'll place no limits on you. You can climb the ladder and earn all you want. We will love you. This will be your home forever. We're at a point in time in the history and world when folks are hungry for something to believe in, and we've got all the right pieces for you as an individual and anyone else that is feeling some of that frustration to put it behind them. Start fresh and start with an organization they can believe in. And that's Nussentials.